Hi. How are you liking the earlier time slot? Good morning. Well, sorry. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody. Let me say hi to everyone first. Okay, one second. Let me close some windows. I was for the quarterly earnings call of UHYBE. I uploaded the English only. So whenever they release their quarterly earnings report, wait, do you hear the noise? Do you hear the noise of my fan? Because my fan is actually let me see. It is on. So I'm just curious if you can actually hear it. Let me know in the comment section if you can hear my fan. You don't hear any noise. Wow. Okay, perfect. You don't hear the noise? Wow. Okay, so the fan is actually right in my face because it's really hot. The only I just have the Monocaster, the podcast device. It's a small one because it's just one person, and it has a noise reducer. So I guess it really works. So that's perfect. Okay, that's great. All right. Let me say hi to everybody first. Hi, Elaine, Leah, Angel Star, Halina, Evie, Amy, Evie. Oh, thank you, Evie. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being a member of my YouTube membership. I'm going to upload the video for this week, and it's going to be published tomorrow. Okay, it's interesting because I'm gonna. Okay, well, I'm jumping the gun. Um, Angel Star, Phaedra, Amy. Hi, Phaedra. You're finally able to participate. Fire Butterfly, Darren, and Evie, Anne, okay, OSP, Kathleen, Cindy, Dodger Girl is on Twitch, Fire Butterfly is on Twitch, Share Your Love, Carmi, Elaine, Z, Lisa, Sarah, Multisan, Michelle Maybell, Rhea, Shelling. What noise? Great. It's great if you don't hear it. Because it's really hot. And so I have a fan just right in my face. As you can see, my hair is moving. Okay. Where am I? Where am I? Z, Kathleen, Fire Butterfly, Dodger Girl is also on Twitch. Okay. Looking through everybody. Want to make sure I say hi. Alexandra, MLB, Salmart, Amy Cohen, Lorena, Robin Carr, Carmi, and Evie. Okay, Joe, Calepto 2000. why, why did you choose that as your handle? Kathy, Helena, Z, Nigma, Alta, from Cali with Love, Orchid MSC, Senri, Debbie, Rachel, Ray, Melva, Bang Luna, Phaedra, Kugi, Nigma, BTS Eden. There's a lot of you that are on Twitch. Evie is also on Twitch. Okay. I am Claudia, Kez, Ray, Okay, I think I said hi to everybody. Bang Luna, the BTS members are the only ones who understand what they've all been through. Danny, hi. I'm new to live chat but watch you all the time. I've been your fan since 2016. Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. Klepto said, long story. Do you want me to interview so that you can tell your story? Okay, my dog wants to say hi first. You should have said hi while I'm saying hello to everybody. Give me 1 second. Say hi. Say hi, baby. Everyone wants to say hi to you. Wait, why do I have this? I don't need an earpiece. Say hi. Danny. Okay, Fire Butter. Hi, hi, hi. Say hi. Oh, the mic is covering your cuteness. Hi. Say hi, baby. Hi, everybody. Okay, so how is everyone? It's been I've only so my last live was Monday, but a lot has happened. One of which is this new girl group. That's not new girl group. The boy band that's going to give me 1 second. I'll share it with you. I think I think they shared it. Okay, 1 second. Let me share it with you because they published the new boy group of Hybe is going to launch. They're going to debut, I think, on the 18th. That's what they said during the conference call to report their revenue for Q2 of 2025. So I will share this with you. Wait, okay. Where is it? Let me hide this. Is it here? Okay. So this is the video that they just published. And then if you go something like 24-hour something like it's a 24-hour something, so this is their, and apparently there, so the concept is that they produce their own music, they write their own music, and they choreograph their own performances, and that they will also at the very least co-create their videos. So the assumption is that this entire thing is actually they're doing, so they created this. Okay, are you going to do an explain of the Hive financial report? Yes. I'm going to do that. I just got distracted with the boy band. But yes, I'm going to do that. So Cordis is the name of the new boy band. Whoever named them, I would like a chance to sue them. I'm going to, should I do like a class action lawsuit? What a horrible name. Okay, but I guess it's gonna grow on us. It's not like Bangtan Sonyeondan was actually the best name, right? So I guess, maybe it's gonna grow on us. But I am excited primarily because the one of the members, he was actually with. I'm talking about the new boy band of Hive. Sorry, Big Hit. The one of the members was actually a member of the A team. This was the boy band that was supposed to debut 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and Leo was actually one of them. And for your son, and we know the story by now that most likely a witch was actually involved in dissolving that group, but they had a lot of potential, that group. It's just that the video of one of the members, specifically Leo, came out and they created a stir, and I guess Hype just realized or determined that it's better to dissolve the team. And one of them is actually one of the members of Cortis is actually a member of trainees. So as you know, I feel like everyone should have a chance to actually debut. I think young people do make mistakes. Sometimes some mistakes are worse than others. But quite honestly, whatever video was released accidentally or intentionally, it was it was forgivable. Whatever he did there, it was forgivable. So I felt like it was really unfair that the entire team got dissolved because of that one video. So he deserves to debut again. He deserves to debut. He hasn't debuted. He debuted. So I'm very excited for them. And then the mere fact that he actually landed in a group that seems to have way more creative freedom, because it seems to be that this is their concept, that they're going to really produce themselves. Everything will be done by them. I think that's even better. I have in so many episodes before discussed what I think is going to happen in the music industry, and a big change is how fans are going to be consuming sorry how fans are going to perceive what art is and what art isn't. And the big difference will be real authenticity. For one, I think fans will not consider anything that is not created by a human being to be art. It's just going to be a product. Not that they won't consume it, but they definitely will be taking into consideration who created the art. So if it is the artist that's performing that created the art, it's sort of like a higher level of art in the future for future consumers. Not that there is no space for performers who will take on a song and then perform it. There's always going to be a space for that. It's just that there will be more value to those that are creating their own songs, or at least majority of their own songs. So I think this group is actually coming in at the right time. So I'm very excited to see what they can offer. But then, as you know, I think one of you actually asked me, why do I like so many groups? You know, there are some people who automatically hate new groups. I'm the opposite. I automatically like all groups. And then I sort of just land on the ones that really resonate with me. And this group, I like the concept. So let's see what's going to happen. So CORTIS, it's an absolutely horrendous name. I don't, maybe there is a meaning behind it. Let's see. And maybe it's going to grow on us the same way BTS actually grew on us. All right. Where do you want to, what do you want to do next? Do you want to do the financial report first? So they have every quarter, every management company and almost every company that is publicly listed, they do a call, they do a report where they actually do a financial report, like the revenue, whatever happened in the business. They do that, they send that report or present that report to their stakeholders. And stakeholders meaning it would be shareholders, those who own the stock and all of those stuff. Now, for Hive, they are the only one that does a call. So they do a an audio call where they report, they actually present what their financial report for that quarter, and then they take in questions. So, of the four big entertainment companies, they are the only one that's doing it, which I really appreciate. Okay, so what I did is I took the financial the audio call, the audio report that they did, and I cut it, just included the English one because there is a Korean one, and then there is somebody that's translating everything. And it will be published in Patreon right after this live stream. So if you want to listen to just the English one, then you can go to Patreon and it will be there for you. Okay, so let's go to the financial report first. A lot, this call actually, the financial report actually sort of cleared a lot of things for me. And that included their move to not renew the contract of Scooter Braun, because that was a huge thing. Remember, everyone was making a big fuzz out of it. And I've already cleared out that this is a Hybe thing. Usually, their CEOs have a 5-year contract, but none of their CEO has completed that 5 years. They would always be transitioning to a new role on their 4th year, which is consistent to what happened to Scooter Braun. Okay, so at about 6 o'clock, the Hybe call, the audio English only part, will be in Patreon. So you can just wait for that. It's about 30 minutes. If you listen to the entire call, it's about 1 hour and 10 minutes or something like that. but the English only part is about 30 minutes. So it's not a huge time. I mean, it is audio, so you can do something else while you're listening to it. Okay, so let's also show you, aside from that audio report, you can also go to Hybe website. I'll show it to you. Give me 1 second, because everything that I'm going to be talking about, it's included in this report and in the audio call. Okay, where is that? Okay, there you go. So if you go to the website of Hybe, it'll be there. So this is the entire report, and then they just expounded on that. But this is the most important page. So as you can see, I've mentioned to you before that when you are analyzing the growth of your quarter, or the decline for that matter, you should be measuring year on year, not from previous quarters. So that means you need to compare. So this is for Q2 of 2025. You need to compare it to the Q2 of 2024, not the previous quarter, which is Q1 of 2025. And that is because of the seasons, the industry, the music consumption, just our lives in general, it comes in season. So, for example, it will be unfair if you are, this is just an example, if you are a toy company, it is going to be unfair for you to compare your January sales to your December sales, because by January people are done spending their money, they've bought their gifts, their bonuses have already been spent. So what you do is you compare January of this year to January of last year. That is what we call year on year. Okay, so just a summary, Q2, so this is the, how do I point? Okay, let's see. So okay, so the highlighted part, that is 2025 Q2. And year on year, they actually increased. Let me just make it larger for me. So the Q2 revenue for 2025, year on year, went up 10.2%. And then quarter on quarter, it went up 41%. So one of the major takeaways is that almost everything actually went up year on year. So from their gross revenue to their operating profit to their EBITDA to their net profit, it went up, which is a good sign considering BTS is not even back yet, right? Okay. Also, a lot of their groups usually in this for Hype, a lot of their groups for the second quarter, they are still just preparing for their tour, which usually starts third, and then it goes on until the fourth quarter. So this is a good sign. All right. So their total revenue went up year on year. Again, this is year on year. It went up, and this is gross. 640. This is billion. 640. Sorry, one, not US dollars. So 640 to 705 million. So this is good. Went up. All right. Now, for the artist direct involvement, this is anything that has direct involvement of the artist. So it could be concerts, albums, streaming. So for as long as they participate in creating that product, that is artist direct involvement. So they went up 423 to 447. Again, it all went up. Recorded music, um, this is albums. So it's divided into recorded music albums and streaming, and then concerts, that's self-explanatory, and then ads and appearances, these are brand deals. What the one thing that went up of those three is concerts. So for recorded music, it actually went down 249 to 228, but concerts went up. And quite honestly, the only thing that was happening in Q2 was Jin, I guess. He started very early in Q, not even, yeah, no, yeah, he started Q2, and then leftover of some of J-Hope's concert, J-Hope's tour. So those were the two main things that pulled the concert's revenue for Hybe. And then for the artist indirect involvement, this is the part that I really really like and want to expand if I were in their position, because this is scalable, meaning you can grow this without having to grow your resources. So merchandising, that would be BT21 and all of those toys. It would also include, um, sorry, for this report, it does not include BT21. So for shirts, all of those merchandise that they actually release to fans in relation to their concerts, that's included there. And then any property that they don't share with somebody else is included here. It also includes fan club and then the content that they distribute in Weverse. So in the soup, Bon Voyage, all of those things, those are artist indirect involvement, because what's happening is that they create it once and then they can just create new merchandise over and over again. So it is easier for the artist to grow their merchandise without their involvement, because they don't have to expend any kind of energy, any kind of time, and they would still continue earning. So that went up as well. Okay, then operating expenses from 589 to 639, but their operating expenses still went up even if you compare it to the previous month, because previous quarter, Q1 of 2025, 478 to 639. But as I've said, it's kind of insignificant. You need to look at it year on year. And then their operating profit went up 50 to 65. That's a huge increase. And then their net profit went up 10 to 15. Okay. Do you have questions just on the summary? Then we'll go to the actual report. Is Hyde the only one that publishes their earnings? No. So the next one, JYP and SM Entertainment are the ones that publish their report. SM Entertainment is a little bit more detailed than JYP, and they are faster. The fastest to report this is Hyde. So usually you can count on them to publish this about a month or two. Usually within 6 weeks they're going to publish the previous quarter's report. For SM Entertainment and for JYP, it isn't unheard of for them to publish this in about 3 months, like almost into the next quarter, already end of the next quarter. Then they'll publish their previous month's financial report. And YG is just bad at it. It's just they would usually release um, a press release with all the numbers and then nothing. You're just like kind of like, trust me, bro. Although maybe if you're an actual shareholder, maybe I should buy, for YG. Then they're gonna give you something, because usually if you're a shareholder of a company, you'll get this report in your email every quarter. So no, the answer is no. Hybe isn't the only one, but they are the fastest and the most detailed, actually. So if you look at SM Entertainment and JYP, it's still good, but little late and less details. Okay, JYP is actually very close to Hybe when it comes to details, but still not as detailed as Hybe. Does each label prepare an earnings summary? They do, but they don't release it publicly. So you will have to be a shareholder to actually see some of the details. I'm not sure. So because I invested through a fund, I'm getting whatever the fund is getting. And because the fund invested a lot, then I'm getting a lot of the details as well. So I don't know. Like if, for example, if you buy 10 shares, I don't know what you're going to get. But usually the details you will get, if I don't know. I think that's the proper response to that. I don't know how much it is that you need to buy for you to get the detailed report. Would it be illegal to report that late in the US? Um, yes, it will be illegal to report that. No. So they're close to the end of the next quarter when they release their report, but not quite the end, but and so they're still good. They're cutting it close, but and probably that is by design. So yeah, buy one share in each just for the reports. Okay, I will talk to the fund and see what I can do. Um, okay, so that would be, so let's go to the actual call itself. So as I've said, if you want to access just the English part, you go to Patreon. It will be published at 6 p.m. today. So right around the time we're ending this live, you will be able to access it, just the English parts. Okay. because I'm sure you don't want to hear everything, right? Okay. So as I've mentioned, based on their summary, it's an increase across the board. So all of their earnings, all of the everything, just that an increase all almost across the board. Now, one of the major things that they mentioned is the comeback of BTS. They didn't really provide any kind of details. It's just that they did mention that BTS is going to start they being active again. So that could be an album. They didn't say when, but as we have established before, for like 2 years or maybe even 3 years, they have been actively avoiding mentioning BTS in any of their earnings call, and they would usually only mention BTS if somebody asks. But this time they volunteered. It was actually in the first half of the not first half even maybe first 15 minutes of the report they mentioned BTS. Okay, so we know something. We know that they're leveraging, I guess, or maybe using the comeback of BTS to attract more investors and to increase the confidence of the investors, because mention the name of BTS and things just turn. So they mentioned it. Unfortunately, they did not mention specifically what we're going to be waiting for, when it's going to happen. They just mentioned BTS, that they are going to come back. What they did mention is the success of the album of Jin, TXT, and Hypen in 17. So for Hypen, I think they crossed 2 million, I believe 2 million sales in the first week, which of course is a good sign. 17 has always been consistent. Although in the last album of 17, they did not surpass their previous one in terms of sales, it's still good. I think they still sold more than 2 million, but their record, as we all know, is 4 million, I think, in the first week. And then TXT did cross 1.7 million, I believe, or 1.2 million when they released their album. Album still good. And they are about to start their next tour. Okay, so contributed, that greatly contributed to their bottom line because of the sales of all of this album. Okay, now they also mentioned that the J Hope's tour gathered about 500,000 fans, and they confirmed that in Lollapalooza it was 60,000 people that came to watch him. This is way below Lollapalooza in Chicago when he first headlined it, but that is by design. That is just the limitation of the venue. The first time that he did it, it was about 110,000 people, and it's just one person. Imagine that. But they also had a bigger venue. Apparently, the venue in Europe had some limitations, so they couldn't push. This is what I gathered, because I did ask some people why there is less people in Europe, and apparently the rules are actually stricter in Europe when it comes to public gathering. So they did mention in the call that he got 60,000 people in there to watch him. So they actually spent quite amount of time discussing J Hope in that conference call. So they were definitely for sure hyping the fact that BTS members are actually establishing their, I guess, bankability, their bankability as solo artists, because they also mentioned that with Jin. They also said that Jin actually landed number 3 in Billboard 200, which is proof of how good he is and how popular he is as a solo artist. Okay, and then across the board concerts. Wait, my dog wants to go down. You want to go down, baby? Say bye bye. Say bye bye to everybody. You want to do ASMR? Say bye bye to everybody. Why do you look so sad and tired? Bye bye. You say bye bye, baby. Say bye bye to everybody. You say bye bye. Look at them. Okay, say bye. You have to go down now. I can't talk like this. You're gonna give me a hard time. Okay, say bye bye. Okay. Okay, he's gone. He went to his bed. All right, I can finally sit properly. Okay, so they did emphasize that someone was asking, wasn't 17 on tour? I am going to get to that because there is a major input that they said something specifically about 17. We'll get to that. So they said that across the board, year on year, actually, the fan meetings and the concerts, it increased 130% for 2025 compared to 130% for 2025 compared to last year. That's a huge thing. And there is a major strategy that's coming out of this because they did say so there were concerts like that of J Hope and Hypen, and of course Les Seraphim started their tour as well. And then they mentioned that Boy Next Door and I'll It, they are continuing their fan meetings. And this actually highlighted one important thing in how, in the strategy that they are using for their artists. One is that a lot of other groups, a lot of other management companies in Korea, they seem to be in a hurry to put their groups on tour for understandable reasons because majority of your income will really come from tours, right? And we've discussed that several times in this channel. That's where the money is. And he so it isn't surprising for groups to be thrown into touring right off the bat. Some actually go on tour less than a year into their career. One great example would be Baby Monster. So they just went. I think they still are on tour. They're not done yet. So it, as I've said, it isn't surprising because as a management company, you want to get your money back as soon as possible, and as soon as you get your money back, then you have more money to actually spend on creating better music, giving your artists more opportunities, and giving an opportunity to many more idols. But for Hyde, they seem to take their time. If you would observe, for example, for Les Seraphim, in the first year of their career, they were heavy on festivals, local festivals in South Korea, and festivals and smaller events in Japan. They were doing university tours. They were a staple in university tours, and not just the big universities, but almost every university. It actually went there, and that is the same for Enhypen as well. And I think I'm finally getting what they're trying to do. They essentially are honing the live skills of their groups before they throw them into an international tour where the criticism will be much more objective. Not a whole lot, but it will be much more objective than the criticism they will get from South Korea because, as you know, in South Korea, it's just about fan wars. But once you start performing in an international stage, there are going to be legit critics that are going to be looking at you and will be commenting on your performance skills, live skills, your voice, your presentation. And I think what Hybe is trying to do is make sure that your live performance skills is top notch. You know what to do on stage. You're not scared doing kind of, hyping up the crowd. You know how to ad lib. You know how to read the room and do what you have to do when the energy is down. And I think that is a good practice. So they did mention that I'll It and Boy Next Door have been going heavy on fan meetings. So no tours yet, but at least in fan meetings, they're honing their skill in interacting with their audience, and then half of it would be live performances. And I think that is a good strategy. It does not one disadvantage, and I'm sure that you know this as well. But many of the groups of Hyde, they're often named to be flops right off the bat because they aren't going heavy on performances, on tours, and then Hyde does not do paid advertising a whole lot. They don't do paid playlisting a whole lot. So it always seems like they're falling behind, when in fact they're just getting prepared for their international push. Okay, one example is IVE. They were big, super big when they started. They still are big, by the way. And as you know, I am a huge fan of Eugene. She is my bias in IVE. So, but I thought with the way they started things, by this time they would be way bigger. And I mean, by this time they would already be seeing stadium because they had a good start, and their first tour was really good. They didn't sell out all of their venues, but they sold out many of them. So I thought, and they had to cancel their encore. So I thought, like, if you started that big, then by now you should be bigger. And the same thing is true for ESPA. The tour that they're going to be starting is actually their third. So that gives you an idea how much they've been out there. And so I thought, then this should be a stadium tour by now, right? If you just look at the track record of um, many K-pop groups, it isn't unheard of to actually grow to a point where you can sell out stadiums. Look at Stray Kids. Hello. So going back, I thought Espa should now be, and the girls are hella talented. You know, I love Espa. They are hella talented. They can write music. They are great in performance. It's just that for some reason they are not getting managed to a point where they can maximize their skill. And I think a great deal of that you can trace back to the fact that they did not start the right way. So again, they were thrown into live performances. They were pushed to do international promotions. They were pushed to do tours even before they were ready to do it. So I think the strategy that Hybe is using, to use the first year and first 2 years of the career of an idol to prepare them for the international breakthrough, I think it's way more effective. Now, Enhypen, they did mention, just finished their stadium tour in Japan, and they are going to start doing their US tour. So I'm excited for that for them. Okay. Now, so that's 130% increase in tours and fan meetings from last year. Now, one another major thing is that they are now refocusing Hybe America's general strategy. And this could probably be the reason Hybe decided not to renew the contract of Scooter Braun. Scooter Braun did mention before that they were discussing the extension of his contract as a CEO. I was surprised when he said that because, as I've already mentioned several times, according to the track record of Hybe, their CEOs would sign a 5-year contract, but they would exit on the fourth year. And I think that there is a strategy to that. I've spoken with some founders and board members of some big corporations. I asked them why would a company like Hyde would actually do that, and they provided some explanation. I will talk about that later. Okay, so they are refocusing from artist management to becoming an actual music label. So they want to use the same kind of business strategy they are using in Hybe Korea, in Hybe America. One of the things that Scooter Braun actually brought in to Hybe when he became a CEO was to concentrate on owning an artist's work, which is also a part of what Hybe is doing. But the difference is that Scooter Braun would buy an entire catalog. So, for example, that's why he wanted to buy the catalog of Taylor Swift, right? So he would buy an entire catalog, whether or not they manage this artist, and that is a good strategy because, as you know, we already saw that in action. He bought the catalog of Taylor Swift, and even while he was in the midst of a battle against Taylor Swift, he was able to sell that catalog and made about 350 million, I believe, or 250 million in about 6 months. He was, or less than 6 months, I think 4 months, he was able to um, earn 50% of his initial investment. So that's one of the things that he brought into Hyde. He wanted to purchase a lot of catalogs and then purchase a lot of artists' rights, and that is a regular practice in the US. Now, what Hyde, I think, ended up wanting to do is to go back to the original strategy of Hyde Korea, and that is to just concentrate on rearing artists, to in developing artists and developing their own IP, and act more like a label than an artist management company. And so I think that is the reason, that is a major reason why they decided to not renew Scooter Braun and to go and get Isaac Lee, who is the head of Latin America, to lead North America as well. So there is synergy between the two branches now, Latin America and North America. Okay. Do you have questions on this? SM silenced the mark issue and flags in special areas. It If it had been Hyde, Scooter Gate would have been nothing compared to KMSM brands. ESPA is the most potential to be a top group, but their dance and vocals should not be as lacking at this point in their career. I think it's just um maybe I should spend like an entire one portion in ESPA. I think those girls, quite honestly, as individuals, they are the most one of the four of the most talented in the industry. And I mean that. I really mean that. I think they are four of the most talented. I think it's just an error in management. Um I do not I think Suman had the right vision for them. He didn't have the right execution, but he did way better than the current management of ESPA. But we'll get to that. Okay. Now they also said that I think it was Woozy and Vernon or someone else, but it was a unit in 17, and they had a tour. And they said that it was a very successful tour. And this is some sort of a case study for Hybe to actually start doing more unit tours, which is interesting. It's very interesting if they start doing unit tours, because then it will raise the possibility of actually doing more stadium tours and not just arena tours, without necessarily having to bring the entire group all the time. So for this one, I think they did South Korea, some parts of Asia for the 17 unit. It was South Korea, some parts of Asia, and then Japan. And they said it was it was Hoshi. Okay, so maybe it was Hoshi. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably I'm wrong. I didn't quite remember who the two members were. But they did say it proves that there is a case to be made for unit tours. And I said, well, that's going to be the first. I'm sorry, but my first thought was actually rap line tour. Can you imagine RM Suga and J Hope? So that my first thought was, oh, rap line tour. So and that is great, because as I've said, J Hope has already proven he can sell out a stadium. I mean, that's a case, that's a case that is closed. He's already proven that. We know that. And so if you bring in two more in there, you have a chance at doing a stadium tour and not have to bring the entire group. So while the rap line is touring, then they can probably do then the vocal line can actually do their solo activities or something like that. So yeah, any line tour, yes. Any line tour. I don't care who the combination would be. But another combination that I would also want to see is Jin and Jungkook, because because I thought it was going to be a full riot if those two. I want to see them fighting on stage. I want to see them arguing on stage. I think if they just argue for 2 hours, I would feel like I got my money's worth. That's what I paid for. I want to see them arguing on stage. But that's another thing that crossed my mind. It's like, oh, Jungkook and Jin. There's so many combination, and we're not just talking about BTS. You can do that for any combination in any other group. Le Seraphim, which, as you know, is my number two favorite girl group. I thought Kazuha and Yunjin would be a great combination. Those are, it's just gonna get like, and I want their tour to be very, very classy, just like their brand. So there's just so many combination in any group, and it is going, the possibility is endless, the possibility is endless, and it's going to just multiply their capability, Hybe's capability to actually earn. So I'm happy, I'm very, very thankful for Hoshi and whoever was the other guy, that they actually toured successfully, because now it is an actual case study for Hype to be made and say that, okay, maybe we can actually do unit tours. Now, the only thing, the only issue is that, just shifting back to BTS, I know that BTS members by themselves as solo artists, they're just so talented that you shouldn't just relegate them into a unit right away. I think they should be given a chance to tour, to do their solo activities as well. But also, as I've said, it's going to be some sort of a relief for the other members, because now you don't have to pull all seven members to do a tour. Whoever has the time and would be willing to do it, that's your combination, and they can already go on tour. So, big hit unit tour. I hope that they do a special. That for sure. I hope that somewhere down the road they actually do a special, a residency somewhere. I don't know. But I would love to do that. I would love to see all the groups under Big Hit, including Yiyun, the soloist, to actually do a performance, a big show for everybody. Okay, Jin and J Hope Love Fest is so sweet. They so respect and love each other. You would love a Vmin Kok tour, yes. Any combination. So, oh, it's Woozy and Hoshi. Okay, so I guess those are the two. Okay, Woozy and Hoshi. So those are the two that toured. And congratulations to them, because they did well for them to be mentioned specifically in that report. Okay, do you have any news on what Pledis plans for 17's military enlistment? Looks like they do it in batches. So I don't. There. Okay, I'll remind me. I'll finish this report first. Okay. Both Woozi and Hoshi are entering their military in September. So they're not going to go on tour with the group in September, because the group is touring starting in September, according to that report. Okay, so they did say that there are going to be expected losses probably in the next quarter, because they are continuing their expansion. And I've also mentioned this several times. That is normal for a startup company, because what you want is to prepare yourself for the future. When you're building a business, you have to think 10, 20 years in advance. That's what you prepare for. If you watch my sorry, if you watch my interview with Ricky, he is the, like, the marketing, online marketing guru, was a friend of mine. He's worked with Nestle, all other stuff, Meta. So he did, one of the inputs that he provided is that when you are building a business, for you to have, to enjoy basically the fruit of your labor, you kind of need 15 to 20 years in that business. So that's when you will actually see the business blow, if of course, given that you do everything right. That's when you actually will see the fruit of your labor, where money is just going to come in and all of those things. um, so as a business owner, what you do in the first 10 years is just prepare for that 15 to 20 years. So, and that's where Hybe is right now. That's why they're acquiring a lot of companies, they're expanding a lot, they're doing a lot of experiments. I don't know if you know this, but in Google, they also do a lot of experiments. They get into new industries, they develop new products, and 95% of that will fail. Okay. Google does not talk about it a lot, although they don't hide it. One of the major practices in Google, if you are an employee, is that on a weekly basis, not even monthly, but on a weekly basis, there, so many of them are required to come into the office 4 days a week, and then they spend 1 day away from the office, but they still get paid for that. Now, during the pandemic, of course, that changed a little bit. Then they were given the chance. They are given a choice to not come to the office. Some of them are actually given the option to not come to the office. But what didn't change is that on a weekly basis, they do need to submit some proposals on a new product that they can develop, and that happens weekly. So of the thousands and thousands of proposals that they're going to get, they're probably going to develop 1 to 5 in a week. Okay, or sometimes none if there's nothing good, but it's really really low. That's the but but that's it's a numbers game. That's just how businesses are developed. And so, but still, even though they are very picky in what they develop, 95% of that will most likely fail. Because if you just go through the products of YouTube, you will realize that there are very few that's actually raking in the money for them. Outside of search, of Google search, the one that's raking in money is YouTube, and they did not develop that. They bought YouTube. They purchased YouTube from these three guys that developed it. So they have Google News, Gmail, Gmail and Google News. Those two things came from those proposals from their employees. And those are just about the ones that are actually really raking in money for them. So you can just see how much um, how much trial and error they have to go through to create one superstar product. And it's the same for any other business. If you want to really succeed down the road, you're going to have to make a lot of investments, and many of that will most likely not succeed. Okay, so they emphasize that here. Expect some losses, and it's not because the business is not making money, it's just that we're acquiring a lot. So we're spending a lot of money, and then you cannot expect return right away. Also, another thing, if you acquire the business that's already established, the first 3 years is a loss. That's automatic. Another business principle, because you're going to try to recuperate first what you invested. So no matter how much you rake in, unless you break even, you're going to consider that a loss. So first 3 years, once you acquire a business, it's a loss. Okay, so be very careful when you go into X, for example, or Facebook. A lot of people are pretending to be business gurus and are talking about, oh, HYBE'S losing money. Look at their blah, 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 blah. There is so much more to actually understand. So don't just buy into the things that you're seeing online. Okay, so they did say that they expect some losses because we are continuing expansion, especially in Latin America and North America. One surprising thing is that they did say streaming accounted for 32% of their entire revenue. This was mind boggling for me because if you go into the financial report of music companies here in the US, streaming accounts for nothing. That's not an exaggeration, but it's really low because you really don't earn a lot from streaming, right? And also because they spend a lot on marketing. So considering Hybe isn't very fond of doing paid marketing to boost their streaming or do paid playlisting, you would think that they are not getting enough streaming because they're not getting promoted. So for streaming to still account for 30, and we're talking, by the way, we're talking gross here, okay? So for them to still, for streaming to still account for 32%, that's a huge thing for them. Despite the fact that they are not doing paid playlisting, they are not doing any kind of paid marketing to boost their streaming. They're not doing any kind, very very minimal digital ad. Most of Hype's digital ad, it's coming from third party, which I will discuss later on. But quickly, for example, this is just an example, the exhibit of Jungkook and Jimin and J-Hope, because that's being managed by Fiverr or whoever is the event company that's managing it. What the event management company is going to do is put ads out, but that's not from Hybe and that's not from Big Hit. It's just from that events management company. So most of their digital ad, those are indirect. They didn't do that directly. But still, it accounted for 32%. I don't know how that happened. They did explain it though. One is that Big Machine, the talents, the artists of Big Machine, which was, as you know, a major target of Min Hee-jin in her rant 2 years ago. They're not now, they're proving it because their artists are starting to produce more art, produce more albums, and a lot, and they signed new talents as well, and now they're starting to boost their portfolio. They got a lot of streams, more than 50% accounted came from Big Machine. Okay. um I will show you this one. Okay, so here they actually highlighted. All right, I hope you can see that. So if you can see, the blue one is US label. So that includes quality control, Big Machine. Quality control is the hip hop company, the hip hop label in the US. So mostly they are not part of the big three in the US, but they have a lot of local artists and those that we don't hear a lot in the mainstream, but they are mostly hip hop artists. So quality control, that's the light blue. That's quality control. And then the purple is Korean label. So, but international revenue. So, for example, J Hope, Jin, BTS, the whole of BTS, Jimin, RM, Suga, all of them, their releases that are the revenue that they're getting from North America, from Europe, and even from other parts of Asia, that's the purple one. And then the dark blue one is Korean labeled domestic revenue. So just the revenue coming from Korea. So if you pay close attention, what's interesting is that now their revenue from Korean label, from streaming, just from streaming, is now dwarfed. It's very much dwarfed by the streaming coming from international revenue of Korean artists and US label. And that is a good sign because really at some point people are really going to shift to streaming, and less people will buy the albums primarily because of economic reasons. So this is a good sign, and also very interesting that it's we're already like 18%. That it's just an incredible decrease in streaming in from Korea. So go US. Go US and Europe. Okay, so they highlighted Jimin, J Hope, and Jin for streaming because, as we know, who is the all in all now the second longest charting Korean, from a Korean artist in Billboard Hot 100 for 33 weeks. But Jimin Woo is the longest charting solo song by an Asian native inside Billboard Hot 100. And then J Hope released three: LV Bag, Sweet Dreams, Mona Lisa. I hope that you're seeing it. I hope that, okay, yeah, you are seeing it. Okay, so, and then J Hope released three singles: LV Bag, Sweet Dreams, Mona Lisa, all of which charted inside Billboard Hot 100. And then Jin's Don't Say You Love Me charted in Billboard Hot 100 as well. And then the album also charted in Billboard 200. He landed number three, which is his highest finish placement, sorry, his highest placement yet. And then they highlighted Quality Control, Lil Baby. I don't know if you know Lil Baby, but he is huge here in the US, especially in the hip hop market. So 13 tracks charted in the first half of the year, including 12 of his fourth studio album. And then I don't know how to read this. Big Sang Plot, the largest, 18 weeks. Although, okay, so they're artists. And then Riley Green from Big Machine, and Thomas Rhett also from Big Machine. So all of those, they brought in a lot of streaming. So uh, that that says a lot. Quite honestly, it says a lot when it comes to where the money is now coming from. Okay. Next, let's go back to high call. Concerts. Oh, the other thing is just this one thing that we need to, by banks is actually an accident. I did not intend to cut it this short, but it's okay. It's gonna grow in about 3 weeks. Okay, so another thing that you do need to consider with big machine, although it is raking a lot of money for them, at the end of the day, artists will not get a lot of it because it's just so little. The money that they're gonna get, it is distributed across many producers, writers, engineers, distributors, and of course the label itself. That they're not going to get a whole lot of what they what the song earned. So just keep that in mind. So I would suggest still that if you really want to support the artist, go to their concerts, buy their merch, and of course buy their albums. Okay. We will call you JK Jr. Okay. Concerts in the first half of 2025 is almost equal to the whole of 2024. I think I can show it to you here. Okay, here. You see it? 1 second. All right. So if you look at it, concert revenue and concert growth. Revenue is the one on purple, and then growth is the one on black. If you look at it closely, in 2024, there were 451 concerts across all the artists under HYBE, including HYBE America, 481. We aren't done with the year. We're just halfway through the year. And they've already done 344 shows. If they keep it up or increase the number of concerts and fan meetings that they are going to do, it is very, very likely this number is going to double. So they will end up at around 600 concerts, and that's going to dwarf 2024. Okay, so if that happens, so that is the growth, and this is the growth. So 172 in 2024 and 140 in in 2025. So just to explain, concert growth is how much they grew from the previous year. Okay, so again, 2025. That is just the first half. So imagine this in 20 in for this year, you're just counting on Jin, J Hope for their solo tour. Let's see if Jungkook is gonna go on his solo tour, and then you have the other groups that are doing a solo tour. For 2026, most likely the group will be touring BTS, and that's going. I don't know how many dates they're going to do, but that's going to be a lot. But then after 2026, after this promotion that they have, they are most likely going to do individual activities again, and each of the member of BTS will most likely tour. That's going to triple what they have this 2025, and I'm very excited for that, although not very happy when it comes to my wallet, especially because I quit my full-time job. But just imagine the potential. And also, I think right around 2027, 2028, that's when other groups of more established acts like Le Seraphim and Hype and TXT, they will most likely do their solo tours as well, right? So that's wow, the amount of tours that they are going to have 2027, 20, oh my gosh, it's just going to be huge. And so this is where the investment thing is coming in. They're investing on many of their artists and acquiring many of their companies right now. So that's why, even though it seems that they are earning, it's still not the maximum earning that they can actually get because they're in the investment stage. Okay. Will BTS take over the K-pop scene and suck up all the funds for concert next year? They are most likely going to they will take over the pop scene, the global pop scene, because they are not K-pop anymore. Okay. All right. So, but I'm serious. They are probably going to. If there are artists that are most likely gonna go on tour 2026. I'm pretty sure Ariana is probably gonna go on tour. Maybe Olivia Rodrigo is gonna go on tour. Benson Boone is probably gonna go on tour on a bigger tour. So okay. So it's they will have some competition, but well, they not competition, but there will be other artists that will actually tour as well. there was an investor who asked about the difference in the contracts in the US and South Korea. And primarily his question was centered, I will talk about Cat's Eye in a bit. His question was centered on how different is the contract structure in the US and Korea. And his concern was that in Korea, the contracts are longer to allow the management companies to recover what they invested. And he was like, but in the US, it's shorter, right? So, how are we going to actually recover our investment? So, um, it was a master class in how you want to answer a question without answering the question. Because I'll give you the so essentially what he was saying, yeah, there are difference, but we also adjusted our business strategy to make sure that we're going to recover all the investment that we made. But the truth is that contracts in the US are actually worse than the contracts in South Korea. I don't know if you guys know that, but it is way worse. So the only reason, and I also don't know if you know this, but the only reason acts like Beyonce, and others, even those that are big as hers, or that's not a lot, by the way, but other big acts, the only reason they started earning early in their career is that their management company decided to forgive their debts. And specifically for Beyonce, because that hit the news. They did whole PR about it. The management company said that we're already earning so much that we don't need her to pay back the money that we invested on her. But that is of course PR. They just want to get into the good graces of the audience. But that is the point. They had to be forgiven because the truth is that in the US, you may not be bound by the number of years, but you're bound by the number of zeros that they invested on you. So if they invested, this is just an example, if they invested 10 million on you, they're not that contract will stay in place until you pay back that 10 million. And remember, whenever you release anything, whenever you do anything, a tour, an ad, whatever that may be, they always take a cut. So they take a cut and then they will still take an extra cut for you to start paying off your debt. So the contracts in the US are actually harsher. Now they've sort of restructured that in the last several years, especially after what's this group? They exposed that it's a girl group. It's a tip of my tongue. Three-member girl group. They ah okay, so they exposed. Oh, thank you, Debak Treats. Thank you. So it's for his treat, not for his travel fund. Okay, I will buy him treats. He has been complaining that he is getting the same treat over and over. TLC, there you go. TLC exposed in the Grammys that they have sold like 25 million albums and they were still in debt. They've done world tours and they were still in debt because their contract binds them by the number of zeros in the contract, not by the number of years. So, at least in South Korea, after 7 years, win, lose, or draw, you get released. But in the US, no. Until the management company or the label says, you still owe us money, that contract is in place. They didn't answer it that way, though. So, just wanted to give you the answer that they didn't give. Although I have not seen the contracts of Hive America, of Quality Control, of Big Machine. I don't know how they're structuring it, but the industry practice is that you are bound by the number of zeros that they invested in you. They also specifically mentioned Lesser of Him and Cat's Eye. Okay, let me go back to their PowerPoint. So they said that one proof that the use of the K-pop system is working on the West is Cat's Eye, because their second mini album, Beautiful Chaos, charted for 4 consecutive weeks in Billboard 200. Gnarly spent 3 weeks in Billboard 100, 12 consecutive weeks in Global 200. Gabriela, I think this is one of my favorite ever that they have released. Charted 2 weeks in Billboard 100 and for 5 consecutive weeks on Global 200 and Global Exclusive US charts. And they didn't even get radio spins. And of course, as we know, much to my shock, their very first tour were sold out within hours. I think within the first hour. Yeah, I think within the first hour because I was there. I was trying to buy a ticket, and I think I told you about that. That I was trying to buy a ticket. It's just that I couldn't even get in. Yeah, I did screen cap that I was like 5,200th in line for a venue that accommodates like 2,000 or less. So, and the only reason I decided not to pursue it anymore is that most of the venues are actually standing only, which figures because you kind of want people. I'm kind of getting the kind of feel or environment that they want to establish for Cat's Eye, that this is a group that will be active. They want the fans to be dancing when they go to a concert. So I get it. Also, I think, as you know, this is a trial for them. They don't have a lot of songs released at this point. So they want to keep it very small. But the mere fact that they actually sold out all 13 cities and they added three more, and those all of those sold out as well, is a good sign. And these girls were actually trained using the K-pop system, and it's actually very evident the way that they're so synchronized. It is choreography heavy. There's so it's but the big advantage they have, and I think we need to start emphasizing this, is that they're actually not a K-pop group. So we need to, because they keep on getting pulled by K-pop accounts. So whenever there is a ranking of K-pop, their name is always included. They're not a K-pop group. They are a Western group, and it just so happens that they were developed by Hybe America, but they were developed in tandem with Geffen. So they aren't a K-pop group. So there, I have to admit that I did not think they were going to be this successful this early. I thought it was going to do they were going to go through some more trial and error before they actually land on a specific image. But as early as now, I'm actually seeing the kind of group they want to become. So I'm very happy about that because the leader is from my country, Sophia. So they said that this is proof that it's actually working. And then they have another group, which is Les Seraphim, which is now who's now starting about to start their very first North American tour. And as we know, they also almost all venues are already sold out. There are some venues that are already sold out and some that aren't, but the ones that have seats, those mostly are resells. And some of them, the venue is just releasing more seats because there is more demand. So two groups will most likely be heavily touring by 22nd half of 2026. I think Les Seraphim by 2026 second half or 2027 first half, they're going to start doing bigger venues in and more venues, not just in North America but also in Europe. Okay. Weverse partnership. They also announced that there are more artists that are not even signed under Hybe that are tapping Weverse for partnership. There is this Japanese artist who went to Weverse because he wanted to release the concert tickets via Weverse through his fans first. So he's working with Weverse on that. And so that when they said that, I was like, bingo, they can do this for BTS. Just I think if at all, I appreciate coming from North America. I appreciate it when they are making North American tickets exclusive to North Americans first. But I think what is more proper is for them to give a chance to the paying members of Weverse first, right? Those that have been a paying fan of Weverse of BTS, I think should get the priority when it comes to ticketing. So this is a good sign. If they're able to roll that out for that Japanese artist, they will be able to roll it out for other artists as well. Okay. Someone said Sophia is impressive. Of course, she's impressive. It's just that she's a little bit like she's the leader, so she has the tendency to push her members first. Even in interviews, she will only answer when none of the members are answering, but most of the time you can see her actually holding the mic, listening to the question, and then like pushing the mic to other members, so she doesn't get a lot of, you know how Namjoon is. The only reason that Namjoon actually got a lot of screen time in the US is that he was the only one that knew how to speak English. But in all other venues, he would make it a point to give the mic and give his members a chance to answer. It's the same for her as well. Okay. Next, oh, September World Tour for, yeah, so that's it. So 17 is gonna go on tour in September, and then there's also NHYPEN. They did their stadium tour in Japan, and then they're going to start doing their North American tour, most likely arena, but definitely the goal is to go stadium. But this is a clear example. NHYPEN actually is they are on their second year, and that's when they're starting their push towards the North American market. They also mentioned Latin, so Latin America market. They want to strengthen that. What is actually even more surprising is they're not just stopping on music content for Latin. They actually have a TV production that they worked with another network, but they definitely have plans to do more than just concerts, music. They're definitely going into production, and as we know, Hybe is actually gonna work on the live action version of K-pop Demon Hunters, which they did not mention in the call. But this is a sign that they are expanding, not just on music, but they are going to expand towards other forms of art, and that includes TV and most likely movies as well. Okay, so that's great. I'm actually excited for K-pop Demon Hunters. So they did say that they will continue applying the K-pop system in the West, and because as we have seen with Cat's Eye, it's actually working. Okay, so let's just go through some of the other slides in their presentation. So that's Cat's Eye. They mentioned that, and then this is the two. These are the two groups that they mentioned in the Pase a la Fama. Did I say that correctly? Pase a la Fama is the reality show that they are co-producing in Latin America, and Santos Bravos is the boy group that they are going to be forming in North America as well, in Latin America as well. Okay, do you have questions? This is like a more broken down um, report of their books, but you don't need to. This is understanding this part will give you a good understanding as to where they are. So, questions before we go into the next topic? I hope we'll get BTS members to act as well. I think I think it all boils down to the choice of BTS. For example, for Jin, he seems to be very firm on him not wanting to act. He said that he's happy with what he's doing, and I can understand he does have a lot of businesses. I mean, with I've already discussed the private equity fund and LLCs, so don't ever think that what they are doing in the music industry is their only business. They have a lot of these boys are savvy. They're savvy investors, and they're investing not just in North Korea, sorry, not North Korea, in South Korea, but also in the US. So I think for him, just sort of like weighing it. Why would he need to act when he can act? Paso, okay. Why would he need to act when he is busy with other businesses that he is building? And I at some point these boys are gonna get married or settle down, or maybe just settle down while being single, but at some point they will, right? So the best way for them to do it outside of music is to actually put up a business, because I'm sure some of the boys would want to enjoy some privacy while they live their lives, and they can do that and still earn if they have their own business and their own investment. So I think that's what they are concentrating on. But I would love for them to act. I think Jin and of course V, maybe V, Maybe. Are they expecting profit for Latin America? Yes, that's actually their comment, that the losses, some of the losses they are experiencing is because of the expansion in Latin America. But they did say that you need to give us a year or so for you to see the return in your investment, because that's just how business is. As I've said, if you buy an established business, the first 3 years is a loss. That's a given. You can. So if you are so for example, if you buy a business, just a tidbit on running a business. So if you buy a business, and so for example, if I buy a business, right, and I become a CEO, I don't necessarily just earn from there are two ways I can start earning. One is dividends, that is the return on investment, like the net profit that I am going to make from the business. And that I get usually you get that at the end of the year. That's when the distribution happen. You don't get the dividends, the net profit every month. It can happen, but it's very rare. But usually it's at the end of the year when the books are done, you've paid all of your taxes, everything has been paid off. You see, okay, we have no more obligation. We paid all the taxes, the debts, the rents, everything. We've distributed the earnings of the artists, and now we have, this is just an example, and now we have 100 million left. Then that's where you distribute across all the investors, including the founder. So you do that at the end of the year. There are some businesses that would do it quarterly. Very rare will it happen monthly. So the CEO, if I am the CEO, if I am a working director or CEO of the company and I'm also the owner, I can also get a monthly salary. So that's one way for me to earn. But usually that's little, that's small. Your money is gonna come from the dividend. So for many of these Latin Americans, their expansion in Latin America, you actually won't see the income, whether they actually made money, until after a year, at the end of the year. Okay. Any questions before I move on to the next topic? I tried Jin's ramen. I saw it in the grocery store and had to get it. It was okay. I got spicy. It was spicy, but it was very like every other ramen. Jin said during the lie test no to acting, but he was lying. I hope he was lying. I would love it. Actually, for all of them. I don't think every member is can play every role, but I think some members will be good for will be great for some roles. So for sure, I want them to. But it all depends. I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get. So what do you want to do next? Do you want to do the letter? But we're heavy on high today, huh? Do you want to talk about the letter? Unless you have other questions before I move on to the next topic. I tried Jin's. Okay. Run BTS as a TV show again. They probably have some episodes. Probably they're shooting some episodes. Jin has said he doesn't want to act. Yeah, I know, but others didn't say anything like that yet, so we'll be hopeful. Okay. Any questions before I move on to the next Jungius villain? I would love for Jungi to play like a demon or the or death, because I think he looks cold, but there is kindness in that coldness. Something like that. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. There's warmth in that coldness. So I would love for him to play a villain, a demon or death, something like that. Like anyway, Jin's concert, a vocal line, the letter. Hybe is not working on K-pop Demon Hunters live action film. It's completely different storyline, but one of the cast member is the same. Ah, okay. Brooding Dark. Let's talk Jin. Tae acts as part of his normal. Yoongi as a mentor. The 17 military enlistment. Do you have an inside news? No, I don't have an inside news, but we don't need an inside news because they kind of already spoke. They talked about it already. It seems that they are preparing some content, but the general strategy is to do it in batches so that there will always be a member that's out that can actually perform and release some music while other members are inside. So, inside meaning they're serving in the military. That seems to be the strategy based on what they have already released. So, the concert that they are doing, the tour that they are doing, this will end by the time the next batch of the members are actually going to enlist. So they are not going to do it the same way BTS did it, where it was perfectly in sync, so that they minimize the amount of years that they aren't together. To them, for as long as some members are actually able to perform and release music, they would be fine. So that's the general strategy. But what I did here, and this is just something that's in the media, um, meaning some of the reporters were told that there some of the members that are going to enlist will be releasing some music. So they did pre-record some materials. Okay, there is in Yungi. I see it every day when we talk. Okay, let's see. Let's do. Wait, where's my gin? Wait a minute. Okay, let me fetch my gin slides. Ah, okay. Give me 1 second. I might be buffering, but um, am I still here? Are you guys still here? Am I still here? Okay. I had to. Am I still here? Did I get cut off? Can you guys respond? Because Google is actually acting up on me. Can you just respond that you can still hear me and I'm still here. You're still here with a blue screen, still there. Okay. I'm trying to fetch my slides for Jin. I'm going to try again, okay? One more time. I don't know what happened, but I lost my Jin slides. Okay. I hate when this happens. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. I am here. Sound changed? Sound changed. So you're back. I'm back. Okay. Can you hear my fan? Is it distracting you? Your mic is a bit off. Okay, let me see. Okay, is that better? Is my mic better? Is it better now? All right, perfect. Okay, good. Um, as you know, I've actually done. I released a video, just a reflection, and when I first saw the Soul concert of Jin. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. But I'm gonna give you a big summary, a bit of a summary before I do this presentation. So essentially, I think what Jin is doing is transitioning a concert experience into one that is more community driven. Like if you're a singer, concerts are usually your show that is meant to give you a chance to showcase what you have, right? So and what you can do. And that essentially has been unchanged. That has remained the same for decades and decades. From the time of the Beatles, ever since live performance started, that has always been what a concert is. It is a chance for the artist to showcase and to perform live in front of their audience. Now, the only change it has gone through is the use of lip syncing, the use of backtracks, and many artists that are mediocre getting away with performing concerts just because their branding is solid. But essentially the format has remained unchanged. And this is just the summary of that video that I did for Jin. So in this concert though, I feel like Jin is really transitioning or changing concerts in general. So from mere showcase of his songs and his skill, he made it a community event. He called into his fans to become a part of his music and his performances instead of just making us a an audience, which is what concerts have always been. And I think because the audience consumption of music is going to change quickly in the next 5 or 10 years. I think in the next 5 years, we will be shocked at how Gen Z and Gen Alpha will be consuming their music and will be experiencing music. Because of that change, concerts in its nature will have to change as well. And it is actually Jin that's leading the transition to what a concert is going to be in the future. So instead of making the fans a witness to his skill, he made them participate in building an experience. So that is the gist of what I said in that video. This is not what we have seen, is not the final form of what concert is going to be. It's not going to be the final form, but it is the beginning where it is as much about interaction with the fans as it is about the music. But if you ever got a chance to attend the concert, or if you've ever seen any of his live streaming, you would know that in some parts there were the lyrics were there on the screen so that the fans can sing along, because it's a different language, it's harder for the fans. But he made a point to try and pull the audience into what he is actually doing. Okay, so that's the gist. Okay, so this is the new form of what concerts are going to be, but it is not the final form. But he is the one that's transitioning it. Jin is the one that's transitioning it. He is the one that's showing everybody else what you can really do to accommodate how the future is going to consume music and going to experience their artist. Okay. And yes, he is a genius. I don't know if he is doing it on purpose, meaning I don't know if he actually sat down and thought, okay, what is the future going to be? Most likely not, right? Most likely it was just him trying to create an experience for his fans. Okay, that's the gist of my. Now, this is just to build up on that. First, I just want to acknowledge his voice. The man has an immaculate voice, immaculate, flawless, absolutely flawless. And when I heard him singing this live, all alone, it kind of made me realize why there is an absolute need for each of the member to actually do a solo tour and pursue their solo projects. Because as much as we enjoy them singing together, and we do, and I hope that they continue doing that in the future, as much as we appreciate that. I appreciate that and would love that to happen, to continue happening in the future. Because there are 7 of them, most of the time you don't really get everything from one performer, from each member, because they can't sing the way they sing alone, right? They do need to harmonize, they need to sound good with the other members. But with him alone on stage, just singing his own songs, just thinking about how he can sing it for him, that will maximize the potential of his audio, of his singing voice. It made me realize, yeah, you kind, as much as I want you to just keep on working as a group, you kind of need to do this alone. because that voice is just heavenly. It's a different level. I did find a new kind of appreciation for his voice. A kind that I know I've always known he's a great singer. No question about it. No question. I just didn't know that this is the quality of his resonance until I heard him sing live all on his own. The man is just immaculate. I can't say enough about that voice. I would love definitely a red heart. Thank you, Angel Star. Is that for Debak? Is that for his treats or for his travel fund? So, number one is the range. My gosh, he's going from the lowest to the highest like that. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how he does it. So that I think he was able to showcase it enough, but there is still much more to pull for him. I think in the future, I do agree that the more he sings alone, then the better he gets because he's kind of able to experiment with his voice, right? And I think eventually he will be able to find or create songs that will really explore his range. Okay. So, and I think he will be able to write and find songs and co create songs that will really showcase the lowest to the highest that he can do. Angel Stars said either one. Thank you. Okay, so that's one, the range. I think he just needs more songs. He has enough, but I think, well, he has never enough. So he needs more songs that will demonstrate that range. The next is the potential. Right now he's doing a lot of rock ballad, and that is great, but I think there's much more that he can create. I would love to actually hear him against an orchestra as a background, like for 2 hours, just him singing with an orchestra. I think he would, oh my God, he's going to sound immaculate in that. Um, and also, let's just be frank about it, of the four vocalists, Jungkook is the one who's always hailed for his stability. But in this concert, the man was jumping up and down an entire song, and he was just as stable can be. So that only goes to show again that you will not really be able to fully appreciate and showcase what you can really do until you do it on his own. So I was just, especially in the first day when we were in the suite, I didn't really film much because, and that was the intention, because I really just want to enjoy, just soak him in. And that's where I realized, my God, there were songs when he was jumping up and down for about 75% of the song. He was running around and he was belting, and he was just so stable. So I definitely would love for him to perform with an orchestra. And yes, I definitely want to actually hear him in a theater production. And I wanted something like heavy on his music in a theater production. So yes, Broadway, please, for Jin. Oh my gosh, I think if he ever does theater, I hope he does it in Broadway, or at least has, several runs in Broadway. So um next is that because the format of the show is actually more interaction than it is just him singing, he was able to really showcase his unmatched wit. We already saw that in Run Sokjin. And he just proved to everybody he can become a great variety show host or even a great talk show. Um, he would be perfect for, like, I don't know, like a sketch or something, like a comedy thing in TV. The timing is great, but also just his wit. He can think really quick on his feet. He can respond very quick, make people feel comfortable, and he was not afraid to drag armies. Like, he would tease armies to no end, and that was fun because I think it's his spontaneity and his he wasn't afraid to banter with armies. He wasn't afraid to offend armies. That actually made him very, very funny. He didn't have to sort of second guess himself on what he's going to be thinking because um,
because that's just his nature. He's just going to say whatever it is what that he wants to say, and that made the experience more spontaneous, to the point where you're actually looking forward to it. Like, how is he going to tease me this time? Because all his teasing was on point. I love when, I think it was the first day. I think it was the first day. Um, when there was this portion where he was getting hit, when he can't guess the song that we're singing, he gets hit by this, like, something on his head, and he was like, "Can you please do better because this thing hurts?" I think that was like, what a shade to the artists that are doing their best to sing, to American armies that are actually doing their best to sing a Korean song. It was like, this hurts, okay? So please do your best. So that, things like that, small things like that, it felt like he was talking to a friend more than an audience. Um, it felt like he actually made us feel, he made us feel the way BTS members feel in Run BTS. Because this is how he banters with BTS, right? So that's like, oh, so this is how BTS members feel when they are in Run Jin. And that was the whole point of this show. He did say, and I keep on forgetting this, he did say from the beginning that one of the things that he is doing this as the last chapter of Run Jin, right? From the beginning, when he was being asked what he wanted to do for his last episode, he said, "Well, I kind of want to." Oh, Linda! Oh my God! For Debak's travel when the weather is more pleasant. Thank you. We will be traveling. Okay, I'll talk about that later. So, but thank you. Okay, so this is gonna go to his travel fund. Thank you, Linda. So he did say, when he was asked, like, what do you want to do for his for your last show, and instead of thinking of another episode, he said, I want to do a tour and make the members of the armies actually a part of Run Sokjin. And I keep on forgetting that because they are calling this a tour, but in the entirety of the show, he made it very clear, this is Ron Sokjin and you are a part of it. And because he's such a great singer, my tendency is to forget about it and just concentrate on his singing and his performances. That I kind of forget, wait a minute, this is Ron Sokjin. This is a part of his show. And we are the guests, which he very, very clearly stated. He said in the beginning, this is my favorite guest, you. Armies are my guest in this episode, in this last chapter of Ran Sokjin. So for all intents and purposes, and even in the quarterly call of Hybe, they did call this a fan tour. They the CEO repeatedly called this a fan tour. So this is not your ordinary tour, and he never intended it to be. It's not just an ordinary concert. So in that experience when I was there, one of the things, especially when I was lower, so in the second day I was on the floor, and that's when I did the VIP, the sound check. It dawned on me that, wait a minute, this is how BTS members feel when they are playing a game with Jin. The wit, the banter, all the silliness of all of these things. I loved in the second day, the second word that we were guessing was orange suit man, something like that. Orange suit man, which was like, what kind of a word is that? Even he was confused. And so all the silly things that other armies were doing, there was this girl that was wearing like an orange suit. I don't know if she was pregnant or that was a part that was a part of his suit, but like she kept on dancing. Jin was very, very confused. We were just laughing our asses off, and I realized, this is how it feels. This is how it feels to be a member of BTS and they are playing a game. And I hope that every member, I don't know if all armies were actually able to soak that in, but I hope that you did. Because that was, I feel that was his intention. He wants us to feel how it is to play, to be a part of this game, this variety show that they put together, that he put together with his member, this legendary variety show, and we get to be a part of it. I hope that everyone got to realize what it was about. Because in the second day when I realized that, I was like, goosebumps. I was like, oh my god. that show that I've been watching for 5 years, and that show that gave me so much joy. I am now a part of it. I can honestly say I'm a part of it, right? Okay. All right. I think she was the Lorax. She got his attention. Yeah, well, she definitely got his attention. She was on the jumbotron, the screen twice, and she had all of Jin's attention for a good minute because Jin was like, "What the hell are you doing? What am I missing?" Um, and so again, this is a show with the fans, not for the fans. I hope we understand that it was meant for us to be a co-creator, not just to watch him perform. We created that show with him. And I think we're legitimately the first fan base who can honestly say that we co-created a show with the artist. It's the first. In all the other concerts and all the other shows, the audience was just meant to watch. But we were the first who co-created the show. 10, 20 years down the line, this is going to go down to history as the very first show where the audience was an actual co-creator. And this was all Jin's idea. That's how much of a genius the man is. I can't emphasize that enough. The brilliance of what he did. The brilliance of what he did. Okay. So again, he made an effort to make us feel like we were hanging out instead of just watching a concert. And I definitely appreciate that. Now, the other thing that I kind of observed is the simplicity of the setup. There wasn't, for the two members that already went on tour, for August D and for J Hope, the set was elaborate. And of course, that was by design because that's what it called for. The story that they were telling, it called for that kind of a setup. It wasn't just aesthetics, it actually added to the narrative. But here, it was very simple. It was very simple. And the stage was actually smaller, right? And I think that was by design. Because again, we're not the entire venue is a part of the show. So if he makes the stage too beautiful and too pretty, it's gonna stand out that we're going to feel like we're separated from him. But because he made it very simple, it made us all feel like a part, like this entire venue end to end was one entire setup instead of us the audience and us watching him. So I also hope that we get to recognize the effort, the process, the idea behind the simplicity of the show. So it is connection over aesthetic for him. He's not creating a show, he's creating an experience. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Okay. Imagine. Yeah, so connection is more important than aesthetics. Okay. I think in the future, I don't know if this is the same format he's going to be using. Most likely, the format is going to evolve. As I've said, in the future, people are going to consume their art in a different way. But I think as time progresses, we are going technology will actually allow him to do more, a closer interaction with the audience. I would not be surprised if in the future it's going to be multiple days of experiences. And that means like if I buy a ticket, I can be a part of more events where I can spend time with him, where we can spend time with him and not just watch him. So right now, if you buy a ticket for his show, the two parts that you can actually be a part of would be the sound check, if you're lucky enough to get the sound check, the VIP ticket, and the actual show. But I think in the future, it's going to be multiple days and multiple experiences. And in some of those experiences, you get a chance to actually be with an artist. I think that's one of the evolution that will happen when the technology actually allows it. And maybe just maybe, they're going to do it in the concert of BTS, the coming tour of BTS. I think there will be days where you can pay extra to be a part of an extra experience. And again, this is going to be a continuous evolution of things, right? So maybe in the tour of BTS, it's going to be not as extensive, or maybe the activities on other days, it will just be the fans. But I think eventually, when the technology permits it, we can actually interact with them. In some days, it's going to be in person. In some days, it's going to be in the metaverse. And I say that because I don't know if you're aware of it, but if you go into Weavers, you buy a jelly, right? For you to be able to purchase their content. Jelly is actually cryptocurrency. They're not calling it that. They're calling it jelly. But it is a cryptocurrency. So we're already using cryptocurrency now. And that will allow us to get into, because now our money, our transaction is already on the blockchain. So then eventually we can interact in the metaverse, we can use NFTs and whatever. And I think that's where it is headed. And this is the concert that's paving the way for that, because now they have a case study to present to investors and say, okay, we did this successful thing, a very simple but successful attempt with Jin, and it worked. So that if you provide an extra experience to the audience, you don't necessarily have to stretch the artist. Because remember, when I was talking about who can actually tour, I said that he didn't have enough songs because he had less than 20. And apparently, because he's a genius and I'm not, that's the solution. That you don't need more songs. You just need to add more experience. You just need to change the concept altogether. And in the end, it's just as good, maybe even better, because again, I have a direct interaction with the artist instead of just watching him perform. So I think I think this is the concert that sort of will spearhead the future of all other concerts. Okay. Um you don't need jelly. So if you buy any kind of content, in any kind of digital content for BTS, you pay them and they convert that into a jelly, right? So, for example, you buy 100 jellies, that goes into your pocket or whatever. And then when there is a content, you just spend your jelly. That's a cryptocurrency. I don't know if you know this. So for when you're watching their live concerts, like on the screen, if you're watching their live streaming, sorry, if you are watching their streaming, not to buy a ticket, but to buy their content online. So if you're streaming, every now and then there's a number that appears on screen. If you just try to observe that there's a number that's going to appear on screen, that's your ID. that's your that's your transaction ID. They are identifying you, because that's the strength of a blockchain. A blockchain is everything is trackable. So you can't, if you if you try to resell their their content, they can trace you. So that's a cryptocurrency. You don't need a jelly to buy a concert ticket. You do need a jelly to purchase any of their digital content. That's a jelly. That's a cryptocurrency. For those the cryptocurrency haters, I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. I've already told you before that if you are using banking in any sort of way, if you have a bank, you're in the blockchain. If you're in the blockchain, you're very, very close to using cryptocurrency. Like it or not, that's how they get you. Okay, finally, that's what the number that means. Was it a mystery to a lot of people? Okay, so yeah, so every transaction in the blockchain is unique. So that number is just what represents you, but if you look at the code behind, that's actually like longer. Because remember, they're going to ID every transaction in the blockchain. So they want to make sure that if you do anything with that, they can trace you. Don't you try, because they can trace you. That's what it is for. Okay, so I just pay with my credit card, clueless about crypto. That because that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be seamless. That's how adoption work. If it is cold turkey, they make you shift. You're going to resist because people don't like change. People say that they like changes, but they don't. So usually the path to adoption. That's another thing that I've learned in the previous company that I was with. You have to make adoption very, very seamless so that people don't resist. Amy Cohen, I have a question. Why do you think Weavers remove their app from most TVs? I have a lot of products I can't watch on my TV. Mirroring is too small. Because you pay a fee. You pay a fee. So the negotiation probably fell off. So for example, um yeah, so for example in Roku, if you download any kind of app, you do pay a fee on Roku, right? That's a brand. So so probably the negotiation fell off in those yeah, that's what happened. I connect my laptop on my tablet to my TV. That's also what I do. I just directly connect my laptop to my TV. But I don't have a TV in my room anymore. My mom got it when she arrived. I just have a huge screen. I have two huge screens in front of me, and that's what I use. So yeah, it's just connected. So it's like I'm also watching, and I'm also constantly in front of my desk. So no, we don't like change. We're creatures of habit. Yeah. So remember, there's this like a huge hullabaloo about cryptocurrency. There was like, oh, RM actually went to Hybe to do a PowerPoint presentation to present his case against cryptocurrency. How'd you know that? And number one, they already are using cryptocurrency. It's not like he can do something about it. So yeah, that's any questions before we go to our I think I can do one more. An hour and 56. I don't have a laptop. What do you have? Just your phone? You can put your phone in a screen. Do, do you want to do one more topic or just put this in the next one? They have my PayPal account number but not my bank account. That's why I use PayPal. I only use third party payment. Keep the meta out of my bank. Um, so yeah, so it doesn't matter. PayPal is regulated, so just so you know, if the government, if the court says, "Give me the names," they won't have a choice. But at the end of the day, again, it's about identifying the person behind the consumption. That's what it is. I thought RM was against NFTs. Those were unfounded. These were from people who like they said RM went to present against NFTs. It's like they already are using cryptocurrencies. That streaming concert that you were consuming, that's an NFT. NFT is a non-fungible token. A token you can't funge. It's unique. Any consumption, any product that is unique that you cannot copy, that's an NFT. Everyone thinks that an NFT is digital art. No, it's just one of the many uses of an NFT. But an NFT by concept is anything that you cannot, an asset that you cannot duplicate. Okay. So when you're streaming, that's one of a kind because they're streaming to you. The concert that is getting streamed to somebody else, that's also unique. You cannot copy that. That's just by nature. So that thing that you're consuming, that's already an NFT. And you purchase that NFT through a cryptocurrency. So that's why I'm always saying before you start bashing something, try to understand the actual concept. Now, many banks are already using blockchain. So if you're banking, if you are a banked person, if you're using a bank in any shape or form, and your bank is in one way or another doing business in banks in the US, they're already using the blockchain. So most likely, many of your assets are already NFTs. You ain't got no choice. That's how they get you. Okay. So, do you want me to do one more topic or end it and I'll just do the topic next time? So, I will be releasing my exclusive videos just for uh YouTube members and paying Patreon members. I couldn't find the word in my head. And then there's also a live stream that I will be doing Friday, and that's just for the paying members. So okay, um, is that is why it's so noisy. Someone is trying to use Hybe as an example, probably due to the current president. Check out Hybe Boy. Good night, lovelies. Good night. Do you have an update on the Hybe issue? It's not tangible, right? An NFT? It can also be tangible. They can tokenize a human being. Okay, so I'll do one more. And for those that can't stay, I know it's very late for many of you. Thank you very much for joining. So I will be doing one more topic, and then those who needs to go, you can go, but I'll do just a quick brush up on the Hybe call. Not the Hybe call, the letter of Bang Shiyok. I'll make it quick. I'll try to do it in about 15 minutes. But so so please announce the time early so I can plan. Most likely the live stream will be morning just for the members. So I'll try to do 9 9 a.m. 9 a.m. and Pacific, 9 a.m. Pacific or 10 a.m. Pacific. I'll announce it early. I'll try to announce it 24 hours in advance or even earlier. Okay. So I'll just do the letter real quick. Um, and then I'll do the rest in the next live stream. So he released a letter. He wrote a letter. This is actually for the employees and stakeholders of Hive. Do the first 4 paragraphs and then we'll discuss it. So he said that it has been a while, and then since he wrote a letter or he's heard from that he has gotten since he has gotten in touch with the employees. In addition to the various situations that have continued since last year, my recent personal matters have also been added, and the company and my name are being mentioned in bad news every day. I can't even begin to fathom the confusion, loss, and concerns that our members who have been prouder than anyone to be a part of Hive. Um, a pause. Please vote for Jimin for VMAs. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Um, please vote for Jimin for VMAs. Please don't pay any attention to the news, to the noise. I know that many are talking about why is this member not nominated while other members of other groups are nominated. I definitely agree that other members of BTS should have been nominated, but also I just want everyone to realize that it's not going to change anything. They are not going to change who they nominated just because we are complaining. So, as much as it is heartbreaking that many members of BTS are not nominated, even though they should have been, it's really heartbreaking. Um, I hope that at the very least we can concentrate on also hyping Jimin, and just let's just concentrate on voting for him. So, okay. All right. So that's just a PSA because I forgot to mention it in the beginning. I wish all the members, Jin, J Hope, and Jin and J Hope were nominated. I believe that they more than deserve it. I believe that they more than deserve to be nominated in other categories as well, not just K-pop, but they're not nominated. We all know the nature of VMAs, but one member is nominated, so let's just get behind him. It's He's still a member of BTS, so let's just celebrate that. Let's express our frustration, but at the end of the day, let's get behind Jimin and let's vote for him. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to the letter. Okay, so this is the letter. I can't even begin to fathom the confusion, loss, and concerns that our members who have been prouder than anyone to be a part of HYBE must be feeling. As the founder and chairman, I feel heavy sense of responsibility for causing such concern. And first and foremost, I would like to sincerely apologize to all of you who have been troubled by this whole situation. Um, Also, Hybe was the okay, a second. I wanted to create a stage where creators could release works that fully capture their own colors and where artists could freely pursue their dreams. Furthermore, I hope to improve the quality of life for industry workers so that everyone could feel happiness and pride. This journey, which started small, expanded with the will to become a strong fence for creators, artists, members, and industry workers, and thankfully it has grown with the sympathy of love and love of many people. Okay, he continued. Okay, however, I humbly reflect on the fact that sometimes that confidence may have been perceived as arrogance. I am once again deeply examining whether there were many shortcomings or oversights that I missed and failed to take care of in the process of growth. Okay, so a lot of people are kind of confused. Oh, sorry. So here in particular, I felt a growing sense of apology that our members and artists who should be freely engaging in creative and business activities might be directly or indirectly harmed by my personal problems. As a creator myself, this situation felt more painful. I ask for your generous understanding that I had to be cautious because every word I said had to be careful while the authorities investigation was underway. He did mention in the letter that he's going to go back to South Korea due to the music work of artists who are about to make a comeback and the business expansion for the future of the company. I have unavoidably spent a long time abroad in recent years, but I plan to temporarily put aside urgent work and business meetings and return to Korea as soon as possible to prioritize the investigation procedures of the authorities. Okay, so he did say that he is gonna come back to South Korea to face all of this uh sh- the allegations. Okay, so many people are confused. Is he what's happening? Because for the most part, okay, let me reframe it. Let's just go by what I initially intended to do. This entire thing that's happening to him is a distraction. If I am a part of the company, because of the culture of Asia, if I'm a part of the company that is constantly being bombarded by problems, it does affect what I am doing. And that goes down to the lowest of the non-officers, the ordinary workers, and all of that. You get affected because at the end of the day, that's your job, that's how you pay your bills, and you're constantly worrying whether you're going to is this company going to go down or whatever. And coming from, I shared a little of the reason I decided to do this full time, and part of it is the stress that comes with working for a company, and it takes away from your passion, right? Because you're there to create art. I'm here to create this content to write, and I can't fully concentrate on that because of all the problems that comes with working for a company. So that's exactly how these employees feel. It is a distraction. It shouldn't be. They should just be concentrating on their job and allow the lawyers to do their job. But because of the culture of Asia, very very different from the culture of Western America, it becomes unavoidable for them to think about it. Because along because for Asians, us working for a company isn't just about the money. It is part of our contribution to society. We take a job not just because we need to earn money, but because we think being a part of it indirectly or directly will contribute to the betterment of your family and by extension the society. Okay, so that's the major cultural difference. So in the beginning, when he was not appearing, when they were trying to summon him and he didn't appear in any of the court, whatever the court hearings, the questioning in the Congress, I kind of understood that it was a message that that is not what I do. I have lawyers to take care of that. I am here to expand the business so that we can give more people employment. We can give artists a chance to perform, to create the music that they want, to also to earn a living from it. So, and I was cheering from it because as much as I am Asian, I also recognize that a lot of many parts of our culture is really toxic. There's so much, you're trained to think of so many people outside of just what you do. You need to think about your family, you need to think about your relatives, you need to think about your neighbors, your country, your status in the society. All of this, there's just so many things to consider. It is exhausting. So when he was refusing to appear in any of that, I understood what it was about. He was trying to just concentrate on what he was doing. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are getting distracted simply because that's the culture of Asia, and that's the culture of Korea, especially in Korea. So he, in this letter, he actually emphasized that. He said that he unavoidably spent a lot of time in in outside of Korea because of the expansion. And he was very clear on that. He said because there's a lot of people that are a lot of artists that are coming back, we're expanding the business, we're transitioning the business, I had to spend a lot of time away from South Korea. So he made a point to actually emphasize that. But also he made a point to emphasize that, okay, I get what they are trying to do. They want me, and I will do this for you. Because if it was another executive from, if it was Scooter Braun or any executive from North America, quite honestly, it's like just get the lawyers to take care of it. I have businesses to take care of. I don't have time for this. If I need to pay a fine, I'll pay a fine, but I'm not going to waste my time appearing in court if I don't have to. But here he emphasized, I'm going to do this for you because I understand the culture. I know that you're getting affected, so I will do this for you. Okay. And that's not a bad thing for the culture of of Asia. What I think he finally gets is that they want him, that politicians want him, the court wants him. They want him to appear before them and quote unquote kneel in front of them and humble himself in front of them. They want to be able to have the chance to grandstand in Congress and in court, yell at him, accuse him, say bad things to him, and expect him to not answer because if he does, he's going to be deemed, I want to be careful what I say. He's going to be deemed impolite. So that's what they are expecting. And he's finally getting it. They're not going to stop until I appear in front of them and they get their chance. That is what they want. They want the chance. They want to do to him what they did to the CEO of, if you would remember, the CEO of B Lift Lab. They were screaming at him. They were accusing him of this and that. They were asking him questions and not giving him a chance to answer. And at the end of the day, they put him in a corner where he didn't have a choice but to apologize. And that's what they want. They want Bang Shi-hyuk to apologize. They can't make BTS do it. So they're going to make him do it. And he gets that. And that is what this is about. I think this is him finally saying, okay, if this is what's going to make them stop, I'll do it. And I think this move is calculated. I am pretty sure that he has consulted with lawyers, with many, and I think all of them, this is just because this is from the beginning, I knew this was what this was about. If they can, if the only thing they would want more than Bang Shiyuk, it would be BTS. They want to publicly humiliate Bang Shiyuk and BTS. And it is likely that they will find their way to do it. It's just that they're going to get a huge amount of backlash if they do it to BTS. So they're going to do it to Bang Shiyuk. They do not want anybody else to represent, to be the representative of South Korea unless it was someone that they backed. So he needs to clear the path for the groups that are going to make their comeback and that are going to expand. And that would be NHYPEN, TXT, the new group of Big Hit, um, Le Seraphim, I'll It, and of course, BTS. He doesn't want any distraction. He wants to give these groups a clean start. And it is but fair, right? Especially for BTS. BTS is coming back. We do not want any noise surrounding this. We just want everyone to be talking about BTS and their music. And I think he gets it. And I respect him for it. I kind of get it because I'm Asian. If it is if it is not if it is just and you know, because most of you are in here in North America, any other executive from any other label, just ask the lawyer to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with that. My time is too precious for that. But it's a different culture, and he knows it. So now I think he's doing it. He said the right thing, not the right thing, but he was being honest in the letter when he said, I will do this for you, not in those words, but that's essentially what he's doing. I'm going to do this for you to clear the path for everybody else. So it is sad that that's how they get off. It is sad how these politicians and the police and whatever and the authorities actually get off, but it is what it is. So um it's performance theater, and if he gives them what they want, they will have the upper hand from then on. Yeah, yeah, they will. And also, that is why in the beginning, I do agree with you, that is why in the beginning I was all for the strategy of just not paying any attention, because at some point someone has to stand up to this bozos, right? That someone has to stand up against these monkeys. And if you allow them to continue having their way, they will just keep on doing this. I'm going to give you an example, a disgusting example from my own country. Someone, a celebrity in the Philippines, finally had enough and actually went public accusing some people of raping him. He's a young celebrity in the Philippines. So he said, okay, I was raped, I was drugged, when I woke up, my behind hurt, I was raped. And and for some reason they called him in the Congress to question him, but not the people that he's accusing. And then and it's not, the guy was raped. Come on. Um, can we have some sensitivity on the questions that you're going to be asking? Number one, it's unfair that you're calling him in Congress so that he can relieve his experience. And then there was this one disgusting senator that wanted him to say specifically that he was mm, in the behind. Like the senator was actually asking him, just say it. It was like, come on, it already happened to you. What is it to you? Just say it. And I was like, what an a hole for you to even, what an a hole for all of you to even ask him to attend, to be in the Congress to talk about it. And now you're forcing him to say it out loud and further. I'm like, oh, come on. So so but because no one is standing up against these monkeys in my own country, they keep on doing it. So the same thing is going to happen in South Korea. If nobody stands up against them, they will keep on doing it. but if but the thing is that he's tried to do that strategy, but I think he realized that they will not stop until they get what they want. So so yeah, I think hateful to try to shame him from speaking out. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It was, if you see that questioning in Congress, if you're talking about that celebrity in my country, if you see how they questioned him in the Congress, it was just, I felt like throwing up. He's a young guy. I think he's about 17 or something. And um it's already disgusting for you to require him to relieve that experience, and for you to not even respect the very little boundaries he was trying to set for himself. It was just absolutely. So anyway, it's just an example on how, if you have if nobody stands up against these bozos in Congress or in politics or in authorities in the Congress, they'll keep on doing it. But that is exactly what they've been doing. They've been doing. They keep on pressuring and pressuring him until they get what they want. They tried in the Congress, he didn't appear. Remember, one of the politicians even told the CEO of B Lift Lab, we wanted Bang Shiyuk, he sent you. So they weren't even trying to deny that they want the person, not the truth. They just want the person. They weren't trying to get to the truth. They want the person. And I can assure you that if he appears, if he agrees to appear in Congress, they probably will call him. They are going to have a field day screaming at him, humiliating him, accusing him of things, asking him questions, manipulating the questions, and not giving him a chance to answer back because that's what they want. They want to feel superior. So you remember when they said that? Yeah. It was like when the CEO, I think he was asked a question and he said like, "Oh, I think he said something like I'm going to check or something." And then he said like, "Well, that's why we wanted Bang Shiyuk and not you, but he sent you." So, um yeah, that's it. They cannot make him step down from his very own company. I don't think thinking about it now, I don't think they necessarily want that. They just want him to submit to them. So, if they can have BTS, they'll have BTS. So, anyway, that's my opinion. I will have to watch. I will have to watch this from the beginning. They want him on his knees. Yeah, that's on his knees. They want him to apologize. I mean, it's already been proven. Um, I was going to present it, but it's already been proven that even the pension fund got more than 1,000% return in their investment. uh, no one lost money. He paid almost half of what he earned to their taxes, to their national revenue, whatever. What else do they want? Right? I don't understand. Like, the pension fund got almost 1,000%, not almost, more than 1,000% of what they invested. And you still want more? He paid whatever he earned, half of that went to taxes, and they still want more. Like, what else do you want? I don't understand what else. So many documents have already proven that he didn't do what you're accusing him of, and you still want more. So, okay. And the reason I'm concerned, because someone's going to ask, like, why are you talking about Hype? Because this is a company that BTS built. This is BTS's company. If it wasn't for BTS, there will be no Hype. And even Hype admits that, and they admit that in every earnings call. Okay, so that is why I'm talking about it. All right. 2 hours and 22 minutes. I'm sure many of you would want to go to bed, have your dinner, spend some time reading before you go to bed. Thank you very much for being with me. I will do the other topics in the next live stream. I will announce early my next live stream exclusive to the members, and the video that I will be releasing exclusive to the members. I'm going to go through the exact brand par, how we compute all of those things of each BTS members along with other K-pop artists. As I've mentioned before, the reason I decided to do it only for members is because I don't want fan wars. So at least it's a controlled environment. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you for being with me. And I'll see some of you on Thursday. Sorry, on Friday. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Good night.